Jay, that's strangely close to Daniel Jones from the Giants. Daniel, is that you? Beat the Chiefs. Show me. If the Broncos and Russell Wilson can show me that they can beat the Chiefs, then I will start believing.
The crowd up. And so are this defense, and Kansas City won't snap the ball again. The Denver Broncos have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs.
Dave Montgomery on the Lions, former Bear, gonna make this his revenge game for sure. David Montgomery gets the touchdown that ices the game. No! And there's the flag. There's flags. There's flags. There's flags. There's flags. Snap. Hold. Kick.
Denver wins! Denver wins! Let's go!
They open. No!
What happened? Oh shit.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Only Football Tonight. We are talking NFL schedule 2026 season. All games are out, international, primetime, weeks 1 through 18. They're all finally out. Damn near all the leaks prior pretty much, kind of takes away from this moment, but it gets people talking, and that's exactly what we're going to do tonight. We're talking NFL schedule 2026. We're going to start off with the week 1 matchup, and we're going to talk about all the international games, all the primetime games, holiday games. It is going to be an exciting show, and it's going to be an exciting 2026 season. So, let's get it. America is football.
Football is America. If you don't like it, you can kiss your candy ass.
For the moment in time, I'll give it 10.
Oh my god.
No!
You loved it.
It's 30 to 27. Chiefs win. Chiefs win 30 to 20. Woo! All right. Welcome back, everyone. We've already got Daniel Barry in the chat. Daniel, what's up? Thank you for showing up. And thanks to everybody who is showing up for our show for the 2026 NFL schedule release. So it just went live about 17 minutes ago, and we already knew kind of who the first game was going to be. Obviously, there's leaks and things like that happen with the NFL schedule. Part of this is like it gets people talking. It gets people already in media talking about it, videos. You got comments of people talking about the games, and so really it's like there's an announcement of when it's going to come out, and then prior to it actually coming out, you've got all these leaks coming out, and most of them are like who's going to play week 1, who's going to be playing Thanksgiving, who's going to be playing the international game, so on and so forth. So let's get into it. Now, for the very first game for NFL week 1, you're obviously going to have your Super Bowl winning team. And in this case, it was the Seattle Seahawks, which I currently live in Washington, just north of Seattle. So I've got a lot of friends, a lot of buddies here that, we're celebrating the Seahawks winning the Super Bowl, and they destroyed the Patriots damn near. I mean, it wasn't even like it was nothing. It was absolutely nothing that the Patriots could do to stop the Seahawks. $50, $30. Hey, send that, Linda. Send it. I'm down. Send that stuff. But the Patriots just could not do anything to stop the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, you had Walker the third running crazy all over that defense. And Seattle Seahawks ended up being the world champions. So the NFL said, why not put them up against the Super Bowl winning champion Seahawks again? Not only was it the last game they played, but it's the first game that the Patriots are going to play in the 2026 season, and that is against the Seattle Seahawks. Now, we can look at this, and this is kind of like something that I've been hearing, a lot recently. And you could look at this and say, this is just going to be another boring game. The Seattle Seahawks are going to beat them again. And on top of all that, you've got the Mike Vrabel, Diana Rossini thing going on. So this is an even bigger spotlight on Mike Vrabel and the Patriots, in my opinion. Stephanie, hello, what's up? So there's just kind of like a lot of things going on in this week 1 game. You got the defending Super Bowl champions trying to run it back against the team that they beat in the Super Bowl, while also having the Patriots with, close to MVP or it was in the MVP race, Drake May quarterback, who got destroyed by the Seahawks. On top of that, again, we've already talked about it, the Vrabel stuff going on. We got E-Dub in the chat. What up, what up, what up? Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate it. Let's talk on schedule. We're already talking week 1, game 1, which is the Sunday night football broadcast of the Patriots Seahawks. So the Patriots got all this stuff kind of looming over their head for week 1 with Vrabel and Rossini. I think by the time, there's going to be a lull between now and that week 1 game. And even maybe like the weekend prior to that week 1 game, there's going to be a lull where everybody kind of forgets about this Diana Rossini, Mike Vrabel thing. And then a few days prior to this first game of the 2026 season, it's going to come up again. And it's just natural. I think that is just kind of the way it works, or the way it's going to work, with media talking about it, the Vrabel Rossini thing. Can they get past this distraction, right? And I think it's a fair question. I mean, there's been so much going on when it happened. There's been so many stories about it, all these other clips of Diana Rossini talking on podcasts that just make it look that much worse. So all of that is going to basically it's going to reemerge, in my opinion, a few days prior to this week 1 game. Again, the Patriots are coming to Seattle to take on the Seahawks for what is a rematch of the Super Bowl, of last year's Super Bowl. So that's going to be interesting. And then because also the season used to just start a Thursday night football game, right? Like it used to just be Thursday night football, and that was kind of that. This year, the NFL is going a little different route, because Thursday's game is actually, at least from what I'm seeing, it doesn't look to be a Thursday night football broadcast. It's going to be an international game between the 49ers and the Rams, with the Rams being the home team in this case. They're going to be in Melbourne. And let me just double check that I've got yes, they're going to be in Melbourne, Australia, for the very first international game out of 9 international games total this year. And the first one is going to be that Thursday following the opening of the season on Wednesday night with the Patriots and Seahawks. So the 49ers and the Rams are going to be in Australia for the very first international game. Eagles Bears week 3, I believe. Yes, C-Dub, that's going to be awesome. That's going to be another awesome game we're going to talk about here soon. But yeah, so first international game is going to be day 2 of the NFL 26 season, again in Australia, between the Rams and the 49ers. Now the Rams and the 49ers, if I'm not mistaken, they did have that playoff game just this past postseason, and where the Rams basically decimated the 49ers. Now the 49ers themselves were dealing with a ton of injuries almost from the beginning of the season on, and they somehow made it, to the playoffs, into the divisional round. Or not the divisional round. No, because the Bears played the Rams in the divisional round. Yeah, they made it to the wild card, and then lost in that wild card game. But yeah, so it is. The NFL is starting off with a bang, damn near, right? You got the Super Bowl rematch, and then the next day you've got the Thursday night game. Again, it's an international game, not technically a Thursday night football broadcast, but a Thursday night game between the 49ers and Rams, a divisional matchup, which I think is pretty cool to start off with the divisional matchup. I know a lot of the divisional matchups you kind of like want to have maybe towards the end of the season, and the NFL is going to do this, and there's plenty of games that are divisional matchups towards the end of the year, but some people kind of like it a little bit more that they happen at the end of the year, but I actually don't mind it. I kind of like the divisional games in the beginning, because it kind of gives you that edge already to start the season, like 1-0 versus a divisional opponent. You've already got the upper hand in that division if, of course, you win the game, and 2, another team in your division isn't playing another team within the division. So I kind of like it. I think it's cool. Now, me being a Bears fan, I was kind of hoping to get that Wednesday night game against Seattle. It would have been really cool to start the season off against the Super Bowl champions. And with the Bears being a big surprise last year, going 11-6, winning the division, going all the way to divisional round, beating the Packers the way they did in that wild card round. I thought it would have been sick for the Bears to get that opening day game. But you know, in the NFL just had a different route they wanted to go. And, you know, some people are going to like it. Some people are not going to like it. Personally, I would have enjoyed it, but I also kind of like where we're at week 1. And that is traveling to Carolina and taking on the Panthers, taking on Bryce Young, the pick that we gave, the pick that became Bryce Young for the Panthers was the one that we gave up for DJ Moore, Caleb Williams, basically, right? Like all these other picks and players that are on the squad now with the Bears and, you know, make up what the Bears are this year and were last year. So it is going to be awesome to kind of have that Bryce Young, Caleb Williams, and it's the second year in a row we play, and maybe the third year, maybe 3 out of the last 4 years we played the Panthers. Regardless, we don't have DJ Moore anymore, but we've still got a ton of the picks that we traded for that Bryce Young pick. I do like starting it off kind of low key against the Panthers, and the Panthers were also surprised they made the playoffs last year. Although, you know, it was a close game and it was kind of, you know, Bryce Young kind of almost emerging finally, or at least what a lot of Panthers fans are like, thank God he's finally emerged in a sense, right? Like to be the quarterback. So we'll see how both of these teams start off this season in Carolina, because to be honest, both of these teams are kind of, they're expected to do a lot. Obviously, the Bears are. They've got Ben Johnson, the offensive guy, the offensive-minded head coach. We've got Colston Loveland, Monangai, Luther Burden, all these rookies who are second-year players who last year as rookies made a huge impact on the offense. Now, this year, you kind of flip the script a little bit, and the Bears are expecting for Thieneman, their first-round pick at safety, to make that contribution on the defensive side for Dennis Allen. We got Kobe Bryant. We let go of Tremaine Edmonds. We brought in some other people. It's going to be somewhat of a revamped defense for the Bears. And then the Panthers on the other side, again, they made the playoffs in their first year under Dave Canales, or second year. I believe it was their first year. Regardless, they've got expectations as well. Bryce Young is going to be entering his 4th year, I believe, in the league. And up until last year, there wasn't really much to go off of. I'm assuming Panthers fans were kind of looking at him being like, shoot, I think we made the wrong decision, especially after CJ Stroud, who was the next pick after Bryce Young, had an incredible rookie year. But CJ Stroud has not looked like CJ Stroud looked his rookie year. And recently, his second year looked a little bit better, but he kind of fell off towards the end. And then last year, it just looked really bad for him. But there's a lot of other things that kind of go into his performance. The defense looked great, but a lot of things on the offensive side of the ball that kind of go into his performance. But getting back to the Panthers, Bryce Young is in this 4th year. He's finally kind of shown some signs of being a franchise quarterback, and Panthers fans are excited. So to start the season off at home against the Bears, again, with the whole draft pick situation there, I think is a good thing for both, right? For both teams. And we got Benjamin back in the chat. Benjamin, what's up? Thanks for being back, man. We're talking schedule. The 2026 schedule, which finally came out. 272 games all came out today. So Panthers Bears are going to be that first game on Sunday, along with the Bucks going to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals, the Saints going to Detroit to take on the Lions, the Bills going to Houston to take on the Texans. Panthers are fucked. I hope so, Benjamin. I hope so, man. I hope the Bears can take care of business week 1. But as I was saying, like there's a lot of like huge expectations, in my opinion, for both teams. And I think that's fun to have expectations and have that anticipation for the season, but it's also a little bit scary, right? Like as a Bears fan, I know like last year was awesome. It was an amazing season. There was a lot of come from behind wins, against the Bengals, against the Packers. And there was just a lot of really good signs of Ben Johnson being that head coach that we've needed for a long time. And Caleb Williams kind of cementing himself as one of the better quarterbacks in the league. So there's a lot of anticipation, a lot of expectations, and it's exciting and scary at the same time. Continuing with the early slate that first Sunday, Bills going to Houston to take on the Texans. Just talked a little bit about CJ Stroud, Josh Allen, and the Bills kind of, in a sense, trying to get back to being one of those elite teams in the AFC, because last year was one of those years for the Bills where going into the playoffs, everyone was saying, okay, no Mahomes, no Lamar Jackson. It's Josh Allen time, right? And what happens is Josh Allen gets beat by the Broncos in overtime in that wild card game, if I'm not mistaken. And when that happens, those expectations of Josh Allen, trying to get past the boogeyman that was Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and really the best of the AFC teams, kind of fell short. And now Bills fans are like, well, are we ever going to win with Josh Allen? Is this Bills team ever going to win in general? Really? Like, can we get past the playoffs? Can we get past the divisional round? Can we get past the AFC championship? Can we get to the AFC championship? Yeah, Benjamin, that's also probably something, that maybe Bills fans are looking at that and being like, we need something else. And they got DJ Moore this past offseason from the Bears in a trade. So Allen has a very solid wide receiver one, which is something that he's lacked in Stephon Diggs. But even with Stephon Diggs, when he was there, like, he was a clear-cut number one, don't get me wrong. But there was always this, like, butting of heads between the two. And Stephon Diggs, talented wide receiver, talented player in general, like, has made some incredible catches, was one of the best receivers in football for a short period of time, and is still, considered a number one wide receiver. If he's on your roster, he can still be a guy like that. But there's something about the playoffs and him and Josh Allen just not agreeing on the offense. And maybe that had also to do something with the head coach, who is no longer there, and Sean McDermott. And I'm forgetting the name of the head coach of the Bills now, who they elevated from OC. But maybe that had something to do with it too. So the Bills starting off against the Texans, and against that Texans defense, like, it is going to be a challenge. Don't get me wrong. And the Bills don't necessarily have an elite defense right now, but it's also CJ Stroud and his struggles the past couple seasons that they could take advantage of and can start off week one with a win. So that will be an interesting matchup, I think, to start off week one as well. Moving on, Ravens at Colts. Lamar Jackson, this Ravens team who for about the first half of last season, looked to be one of the worst teams in the league, and then eventually kind of caught up to its potential, and they played really well. And so we'll see how they kind of go about that. And the Colts, of course, like, they start off the season extremely hot with Daniel Jones as quarterback one. And this was the season last year was the first season without their owner, who had passed away. So they've got some expectations as well. They had just signed Alec Pierce to this massive contract. He was one of the best wide receivers in terms of, like, certain stats last year. One of the best ones. And that's why he got the big contract that he did. Lou, look, sorry guys, but let's talk some Cowboys, America's team. Super Bowl, this is our year. How about them Cowboys? I love it, Lou. I love the delirium that you guys have, right? Like, Cowboys fans every year. Dak Prescott's our quarterback, CeeDee Lamb, our wide receiver. Our defense looks pretty damn good. Like, I love it. Like, people hate Cowboys fans, and I love shitting on Cowboys fans because it's very funny to do so. But you got to respect the belief. So we'll be talking some Cowboys here in a sec. We got Browns and Jaguars. Jaguars won the division last year. Browns have a huge quarterback controversy. Is Deshaun Watson going to be the starter this year? Will Shedeur Sanders be even in consideration for QB1? Does Dylan Gabriel have a shot? They brought in another quarterback as well. There's a big storyline there. And of course, you've got the defense on the Browns side, who they've been really good. And obviously they got Myles Garrett, who's been a defensive MVP. But there's also talks about trading him too, because right now, this is the last year of the Deshaun Watson contract, the $230 million guaranteed to him. So who knows what's going to happen after this year for Deshaun Watson, because as a Brown, he has not had good tape at all, like to warrant another contract, or at least to warrant another contract that he got from the Browns. I mean, you're probably looking at something where what Russ was doing now with the Steelers 2 years ago, where it was like $1 million for this guy because the Broncos were paying 95% of his salary, right? Or even God, who else? Well, Russ with the Steelers and then Russ with the Giants, things like that. Like, he's probably going to be a good backup possibly somewhere, but I don't see him getting a contract to be a starter unless this year he absolutely balls out. Like, he has to ball out. The Jaguars, obviously, they won a division last year. They'll be at home against the Browns. Trevor, Jesus Christ, I can't think of his name. The quarterback for the Jaguars. He's got a lot of things to kind of live up to as well, because last year under their head coach, which again, I just can't remember his name, Liam Cohen last year, he kind of turned them around too. And if you guys have been here with us before, Kyle loved Liam Cohen being a head coaching candidate prior last offseason. And this is when Ben Johnson was a head coach candidate, Liam Cohen, the guy in the Jets. Like, there was all sorts of coaches that last offseason were like highly regarded. And Liam Cohen was a guy who was going to stay with the Bucks. And then the Jaguars made him an offer, said, hey, our GM, we'll get him out if you want to come through. And he's like, yep, I'll do that. And then just left the Bucks. So they had a big turnaround last year too. Similar to the Bears under their first year head coach, similar to the Patriots on their first year under their new head coach, Mike Vrabel. They made that turnaround quick. And all three of those teams made it to the playoffs. Obviously the Patriots went to the Super Bowl, the Bears made it to the divisional round, and the Jaguars made it to the wild card round where they lost at home, unfortunately, but they made a quick turnaround too. So this may be a good matchup to start their season as well. Lou's saying the draft will tell you most of the time where a team is or is going 90% of the time. In what way, Lou? I kind of get what you're saying, where a team is or is going. Yeah, I kind of get what you're saying, but maybe a little more. It really just depends on the team too. Because if you have a ton of holes, I mean, like, you're just drafting the best player available, I feel like. I mean, if you're trying to plug some holes with like some really quality guys, then yeah, I guess you could kind of see where you're going there. But it is very team dependent. Moving on, Falcons at Steelers. The Steelers still have got, I don't know, a big question mark at quarterback. Will it be Rudolph? Is Drew Aller even going to be considered? Is he going to take any first team reps, things of that nature? Is Aaron Rodgers going to sign with the Steelers? It seems like he is. It just, Aaron Rodgers does his own thing damn near every year. So it's more of like a matter of when, not necessarily if he's going to sign. Although there was a whole retirement thing circling his head the last couple seasons. Oh, maybe I should retire, maybe not, blah, blah, blah. So the Steelers got that going on. Now the Falcons have got a bit of an issue as well, because is Michael Penix their QB1 of the future? Can they get a pass rush worth a damn on the defensive side? They've got weapons all over that offense, but if Michael Penix can't get the ball into their weapons' hands, what's going on in Atlanta? Next game, Jets are going to Tennessee to take on the Titans. The Jets have Geno Smith as their quarterback. It's kind of like a homecoming for him. That's who drafted him to start off. That's also who ran him out of town, though, too. He had his issues there with former teammates. Geno Smith did, but now he's back with the Jets. Got Garrett Wilson, wide receiver. I've got I'm forgetting his name right now, the running back that they just signed the big contract. And their head coach, again, is going in a year two after a pretty abysmal year one under their new head coach. Not great for them last year, they unfortunately didn't have one of those turnarounds that you were kind of expecting with the talent, but they also got rid of a couple big names. Quentin Williams was one of them that they got rid of. I forgot who they added, but they've got some good players. It's just now they all need to work together to make this team an actual good one. So they start their season off against the Titans, who Cam Ward is their quarterback. They didn't have a very good year last year. Cam Ward, he like in one press conference, like, we're playing like ass. We're just garbage. We're a garbage team. And, you know, he may have gotten some shit for that, but to be honest, it's the quarterback. It's the leader of the team. And that's how you kind of got to look at it, right? Like, if the leader of the team is saying you're garbage, your play is garbage, then your play is garbage. Like, it takes a lot for a leader to say that. And it's not necessarily just always to be like, oh, he's motivating the team. It's like, no, sometimes it's just the truth. And some people may look at that and look at you sideways, but who cares? You know, and Titans have a decent defense too. So we'll see how they go up against that Jets team. Lou's saying, look, no disrespect, but you put the Bears and them boys right now today. Who was talking to the analyst? Who was talking to the analyst after the game about how they won the game? The Bears, 100%, Lou. The Bears, they spanked that boys' butt last year. If you remember that game, I know you remember that game. The Bears spanked the Cowboys with that flea flicker to Luther Burden. Moving on to the afternoon games for week 1, Cardinals, Chargers. Cardinals kind of going through their shift. Cardinal got rid of Kyler Murray. The Chargers, very bad season last year. No, today, not yesterday. Hey, the Bears, baby. Bring them. Bring the Cowboys on. We'll do that. The Chargers kind of they didn't have a bad season last year. But it was definitely one of those, like, they started off really hot those first 3-4 games of the season, and then it just didn't look it never looked as good as it did. And then Herbert with the playoffs and all that talk. The defense is a little bit on the older side too, so we'll see kind of how they go about the year. Dolphins going to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. The Dolphins got rid of Tua, got rid of their head coach. They brought in Malik. Oh my God, what's his name? Malik Willis from the Packers, their backup, who's still a young guy. He was supposed to be the quarterback of the future in Tennessee before Levis and even before Cam Ward. So he had a decent year and has had a couple decent years under Matt LaFleur in Green Bay. And I should know, I'm a Bears fan. I see those guys twice a year. So he had a decent year. He's now going to the Dolphins, but the Dolphins also got rid of Jalen Waddle, who was sent to the Broncos in a trade. But the Dolphins did a lot during the draft to bring in offensive weapons and defensive guys. So they're a lot. I would assume that a lot of their rookies are going to be starting on the team, you know, of course, save some for injuries, you know, off-field issues, things like that. I could assume that most of their rookies are going to be starting. The Raiders, number 1 pick in the draft, bringing Fernando Mendoza from Indiana, who number 1 pick quarterback. They've got some players on the offense. They brought in Ashton Genty last year. They brought in not Mayer, but the other quarterback from Georgia the year prior. So they're building, like, their last 3 drafts have all been, and 4 drafts, I think, with Michael Mayer, the other tight end, I think the last 4 drafts have all been offensive players. So they bring in a quarterback now. I mean, and you know, they had Geno Smith last year with Pete Carroll, and obviously that didn't work. They got rid of both of those guys. So all of their last 4 drafts have been offensive guys. They are building silently through this draft, and I would say a little bit more on the smart side too. I mean, you kind of want enough explosive offense, and the defense, it sucks because they had brought in the guy from the Dolphins, that defensive tackle. And obviously you got Max Crosby there, who tried to complement. They tried to make both of those guys complement. It just wasn't working. The defense just isn't a good unit for the Raiders, but their offense could be pretty scary moving forward, especially Fernando Mendoza can kind of have that quick, like, not turn around, but that quick transition to the NFL and make it, you know, a very watchable season for Raiders fans. Okay. Are we playing, y'all? I don't think so. I'd have to double check. I think we're playing the AFC East. And actually, let me double check because I have it up. No, we are not playing you guys, Lou. No, not this year. Ben Johnson is the Bears coach. Ben Johnson is the Bears head coach. So we're not playing you this year. But if we did, Bears would be spanking that ass. So Dolphins Raiders, that's going to be fun. That's going to be fun. He is low-key special QB. Who's that? Fernando Mendoza? Or are you talking about Gino, or who are you talking about, Lou? Packers Vikings, another divisional matchup. Again, I like these divisional matchups. Packers Vikings, this is going to be a good one. The Packers, obviously, Jordan Love. They lost to the Bears twice last season, one being in the playoffs. Okay, Fernando Mendoza, special QB. Yeah, and again, you know, kind of going back real quick before we talk about Packers Vikings, he's the number 1 overall pick. He led Indiana to a national championship. Like, could it work out? Could he be one of these like Jaden Daniels, CJ Strouds, where rookie years, they're having this phenomenal year and they take their team to the playoff and basically flip the franchise into one that is watchable again, right? Because you talk to Texans fans and Commanders fans, those rookie seasons were special for them because of those guys. So if Fernando Mendoza comes in and he's already got Ashton Genty year 2, he's got Michael Mayer and Brock, the 2 tight ends, years 3 and years 2, or year 3 and year 4, or something like that. No, he's Down syndrome. You're terrible, Lou. That could be a very, very special season for the Raiders, who, you know, have this brand new, beautiful stadium, who obviously moved from Oakland to Las Vegas, basically a brand new team in a sense, right? In that sense, I should say. So maybe he, you know, Lou means special in a different way, but I'm thinking special in the same way that Jaden Daniels and CJ Stroud and these other rookie quarterbacks, and even like Bo Nix, you know, turned the Denver franchise around in year 1 as a rookie. And you know, Caleb Williams, obviously year 2, like he could do this. So if it is, Raiders fans are going to definitely have something to root for. I'm trying to word it better, but I had to put it that way. I know what you mean, Lou. I know what you mean. All right, moving on. Packers Vikings, again, another divisional NFC North matchup. Packers just cannot seem to shake off that 7 seed from their repertoire the last few years, and they've made the playoffs. You know, credit to them. But under Matt LaFleur, it has been a bit of a struggle in the playoffs. During the regular season, they're winning a ton of games. I mean, they're always in it for the division. You know, the Bears won it last year, but they were still there. Everybody in NFC North had a winning record, 9-8 or better, 11-6 for the Bears. And the Vikings, you know, we're talking about the Vikings too. Kyler Murray is now favorite for QB1 after JJ had a pretty bad year. And this was, again, after his rookie year. He was injured all of that rookie year. He kind of came into year 2, beat the Bears in week 1 on Sunday night or Monday Night Football, and had a lot going for him after that game, and was just never able to kind of replicate the success he had at Michigan and that week 1 game against the Bears for an entire season. He also had some injuries. They brought in that other quarterback. He was a Commander. He was an Eagle. I'm forgetting his name at the moment, but they brought him in, and really it was just like, you know, Kevin O'Connell just lost confidence in JJ McCarthy throughout the season. And obviously the injuries didn't help for JJ McCarthy, but you could tell that he just wasn't seeing the field or the offense as well as, you know, he wanted to. Sam Darnold was a quarterback for the Vikings prior to last season. He just won a Super Bowl with the Seattle Seahawks. Daniel Jones was on that same roster. They got rid of both of those guys because they thought JJ McCarthy was going to be the next guy. And look, hand up, I was one of those guys who was like, well, it's Kevin O'Connell. He's done with other quarterbacks what oh my God, of course I'm forgetting his name. The Rams coach, Sean McVay, is done with other quarterbacks, right? Like, he can make these guys pretty good and can win Super Bowls because he's a very good coach. And that's who I thought with JJ McCarthy. I was like, yeah, he didn't do a lot in Michigan. He kind of handed the ball off a lot and definitely had some throws here and there where it was like, okay, this guy could be an NFL quarterback. I think he maybe should have waited another year, JJ McCarthy, to come out of the draft. But, he came out in the draft, got drafted by the Vikings, and that's what it is. So I thought Kevin O'Connell was going to definitely make him that special QB1 his second year, his rookie season, really. And the Vikings were going to have a decent team because their defense is really good. And they've got Jay Jettas there on that squad. They have Addison on that squad. The running game wasn't amazing, but you still had some good players on that offense, and the defense is really good. So I was kind of expecting that turnaround for JJ McCarthy and the Vikings, but obviously it didn't happen. Now, Commanders-Eagles, an NFC East matchup. The Commanders coming off a year where Jaden Daniels, the injuries took a toll on him throughout the year. They start off the season somewhat decent and just completely fell off. I think they had a top 10 pick, if I'm not mistaken, in the draft this past year. So they were clearly not who they were 2 seasons ago when Jaden Daniels was coming out of college, out of LSU, fresh off winning the Heisman, and had an amazing rookie season. Made it all the way to the NFC Championship. That's how good that year was. In year 2 under Jaden Daniels, obviously not what the expectations were, is what it is. With the Eagles, also had a pretty down year, the year after winning the Super Bowl. I can't remember if they made the playoffs or not, but there was a lot left. There's a lot left there in the tank, I think, in terms of talent. AJ Brown's having his issues. He's probably going to be traded here soon, which makes Devontae Smith your wide receiver 1, really at the end of, in my opinion. And then I forget names. Jalen Hurts obviously is going to be your quarterback. He's got his own issues. And of course, with their head coach Sirianni, right? Like there's just a whole bunch of stuff in Philly that I think Kyle and I were talking about it not so long ago. When you look at Philly as an outsider, outside looking in, right? Like, and obviously Kyle and I are Broncos and Bears fans. We're looking at this team from the outside, and we're looking at it and we're like, there's just a lot of personality going on there. Jalen Hurts is like a strong silent type in a sense, right? Like he doesn't say much, and a lot of the things he says are very cryptic in the media. Not necessarily cryptic, but cryptic and like cheesy, a combination of those two. Sirianni is just kind of like, his opening press conference was like he was fumbling words. He was just saying things. It was just like, it was almost like embarrassing. And Eagles fans were kind of like, this is our coach? What the fuck? So you have those two guys. You're 1 and 2, really. And then you got AJ Brown, who just this past season, and really over the last 2 seasons, has kind of been just like a bit loud and not in a good way either, right? Like he's criticized the offense. He has said things to media members. He has been in comment sections on Instagram, Twitter, whatever, and just said things on live streams, and it's just a bit of a pain in the ass, really, when you look at him as a player outside of the team, and you kind of look at all this as an outsider, and you're like, none of this should be working, and yet they've won a Super Bowl in the past 4 years under Sirianni. They've made the playoffs multiple times under Sirianni with these guys, so they're dealing with a lot as well coming into this year. There's a lot of expectations for Philly, in my opinion, as well. There's a video of him in high school running in circles. Look, let's just say every time he's taking a meme. Lions and Bears weeks 12 and 17. Hell yeah. It's just the Vikings. Like, it really is, E-Dub. It actually really is. And don't get me started on the Bears QB videos. Oh, crap. I don't want to hear it, Lou. I don't want to hear it. Caleb Williams has cemented himself as one of the better quarterbacks in the league. I don't want to hear it. I'm not so sure Darnold would have won anything with Minnesota. Well, I don't know. Maybe you're right, E-Dub. Honestly, maybe you're right. That could have been that's definitely a possibility. There's just so much competition too in the NFC North. I think it's one of the better divisions now. Obviously, after every team had a winning record, and 9-8, it's still a winning record, but it's 9-8 at the same time, right? And a lot of things happen with all those teams. I'm just waiting for the narrative. If Devontae Smith and Mekhi Lemon struggle, they never should have traded AJ. Yeah, 100%. I believe AJ will be traded, and it will probably be the right move for the franchise. I think it'll be the best move for both of them. This is kind of like a Stephon Diggs situation with the Bills. There's a lot of criticism, a lot of like talk from your star wide receiver, and it's just distracting, and it's not coming in at the right time. So with AJ Brown, I definitely think it's going to be something that is just going to happen, and it's going to be eventual. And again, I think it's best for both. And real quick, I'm going to take a quick pause. I will be right back. All right, back. So, yes, Eagles, AJ Brown situation. That's just, I feel like it's going to be one of those things where we're going to be in the lull of the offseason, and it's going to come at the right time. Whoever he gets traded to, everyone's speculating the Patriots. That's going to be an interesting move, because the Patriots are obviously kind of going through their own thing with the offense and Drake May and the offensive line and blah, blah, blah. So if they can get an AJ Brown, maybe that does take him over the hump. Maybe that takes away a lot from the Vrabel situation. Maybe it really does get them to the tops of the NFL, elite. And if they get to Super Bowl again, he could play a big part as a former Super Bowl champion in getting them that trophy. All right. The second Sunday Night Football broadcast, not counting Wednesday night, to start the season, it's going to be Cowboys and Giants. Lou, where you at? We're talking about your boys. We're talking about your boys now. A divisional matchup for Sunday Night Football. I love it. Again, I am a huge fan of divisional matchups early in the season. Just kind of gives you an edge, man. It really does. And you have 6 games. Like you can have a game early in the season, as early as week 1 in the division, and still, whether you take an L or take a dub, still have a huge impact, or not have a huge impact, but you have 5 other games that will have a huge impact on whether you're going to win the division or not. So Cowboys, Giants, Sunday Night Football, a lot of cool stuff happening here. Cowboys obviously had a down year last year. CeeDee Lamb had some injury issues. They got rid of Micah Parsons. They sent him over to the Packers. They brought in a tackle. Forgot who they brought in exactly. And obviously, the defense wasn't great either for the Cowboys. So there's a lot of stuff going on with the Cowboys, and obviously America's team, all that stuff. Been like damn near 30 years since they've won a Super Bowl. All the negativity, all the shit talk, I love on the Cowboys. And they're going to take on the Giants in New York, Jersey, whatever, MetLife, who have got a lot of young guys on that offense, on that defense. The Giants are going to be a scary team because of Jackson Dart, Cam Scatterbo, Malik Neighbors. If all these guys on offense can stay healthy for, 15 of the 17 games, 14 of the 17 games, these guys have a legitimate shot at winning the NFC East, the Giants. They have a legitimate shot. NFC East is Eagles, Commanders, Cowboys, Giants. The Giants have a legitimate shot at winning this division. Now, obviously, you're going to have to get past the battle-tested Eagles, the just 2 seasons ago went to the NFC Championship Commanders, and who they lose in the NFC Championship? The Eagles, who eventually won the Super Bowl. And then the Cowboys kind of have their own issues, but also have a lot of upside too. But the Giants, man, they can legitimately win this division. This might be one of the better divisions in football if one of the teams is, if there's only one team that really falls off throughout the year, right? I think the NFC East is going to be a tough one because they all have their issues and they've all got a lot of injuries and they've all got drama around them, but they've got a lot of upside. A lot of these teams do. And the Giants, I think have the biggest upside, especially with Jackson Dart. Now they bring in Harbaugh as their head coach, which I wasn't a huge fan of, but this guy's won playoff games. He's won a Super Bowl. He brings a lot of experience to this team who doesn't have a lot of experience in the playoffs or really winning divisions or playing winning football, really. And then you look on the defensive side, right? Brian Burns, Abdul Carter. I forget who they brought in the draft, but the Giants have a lot of upside and they are young on both sides of the ball. And that is probably the biggest plus, the biggest pro that they have on their team is they have a lot of young guys and they're going to be, battling for this division for the foreseeable future. The Cowboys, a lot of their guys are a little bit older. Dak's on the older side, but he's also a quarterback, so it doesn't take that much of a toll in terms of age. CeeDee Lamb has dealt with injuries last season for a little while, and who knows if the running game with Javonte Williams is going to have success like it did earlier in the season last year. The Commanders, obviously, they're a little bit older on defense. They just brought in Sonny Styles in the draft. He's probably going to be a starter, but they're pretty old on defense. And that was one of their biggest cons last season for the Commanders. And the Eagles, it's the drama for the Eagles. They're talented on all sides of the ball, defense and offense, but there's just a lot of drama. And it's Philly too, brotherly love. They love to shit on their own players. So the Giants have a bit of a leg up here, man, in terms of the head coach they brought in, who's, brought in a whole new staff and is almost like a very clean slate type of season coming up. So they've got upside there. Again, a lot of their players are very, very young, and it's going to be exciting to see how they continue to play and where they end up at the end of the year. And if you guys see right there for Bill, that was one of our biggest fans, biggest supporters, I should say, when Kyle and I started this channel. And he was a Giants fan. He passed away, unfortunately, a couple of years ago. And he was a Giants fan. And, we put that up there and we talk really good about the Giants. And I'm sure he'd be loving it right now. I'm sure he'd be in the comment section right now talking about how they're going to win the division this year and all that jazz, right? Like, they have a lot of upside. The Giants have a lot of upside. They got a lot of really good young talent. Now, to open up Monday Night Football, and Kyle's not here right now, but the Broncos will be going to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. Current division winner versus former division, dominator, I should say. Because the Chiefs were dominating the AFC West for so many years, especially with Patrick Mahomes being who he is, and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and all these guys on the Chiefs squad. They were dominating the AFC West. Till a little guy by the name of Bo Nix was drafted by the Broncos under Sean Payton with Courtland Sutton, and now bringing in Jalen Waddle. And hopefully, their running game can be a little bit better this year as well. With, oh my God, I forgot who they drafted last year. Regardless, up until those Bo Nix got into the league, really, it was really year two. The Broncos won the division last year, made it all the way to the AFC Championship. Bo Nix got hurt, obviously, in the divisional round. Come championship Sunday against the Patriots, Jarrett Stidham just did not look good. That offense did not look good. It snowed a little bit. Both teams had to deal with it. The defense did its best, but when your offense can't really do much with the quarterback against a very good Patriots defense, let's say. So both those teams had good defenses, Broncos being the much better defense, but that Patriots defense was pretty solid in its own right. Year two of Bo Nix, and this Broncos team was enough to take out the Chiefs. And again, they won the division, made it all the way to the AFC Championship. So the Chiefs, for this being the Monday Night Football game, I think this is going to be a very solid game. To start off Monday Night Football again, too, great matchup. With Bo Nix's injury, though, there's a little bit of concern there, and I'm sure Kyle would, if he was here, he'd talk a little bit about it because I don't have too much clarity on the situation. What I do know is that he broke his ankle. There's a certain timetable after that divisional round, but that timetable kind of increased. And then there was another procedure that Bo Nix had. Now he's expected to be there in training camp, at least from what Sean Payton said earlier, these last couple of weeks or so. He's expected to be at a certain level of the off season. I just can't remember exactly what. I believe it was training camp though. So that's good news, but it is going to be a little bit concerning if he's not there for that, if maybe the timetable is shifted to the right more, if there's going to take more time for Bo Nix to get better, what have you. So there's a little bit of concern, but you bring in Jalen Waddle, your defense is damn near intact. I think they really only lost one starter, Franklin something. He was a defensive tackle or defensive edge. But the Broncos also brought in some help on the defensive line to kind of supplement his departure. So for the most part, this Broncos defense is intact. And you would expect that the Broncos defense is going to continue to be as dominant as they have been. I would assume there's going to be a little bit of fall off. I don't think defenses can maintain their dominance for so long, especially in today's NFL, where it just seems like you get these defensive studs every single draft, and it doesn't take as much time to develop or to make that transition to the NFL. I mean, you got second, third rounders making an impact almost immediately. But obviously the system that is in place, the defensive coordinator that the Broncos have had for the last 3-4 years is still there. So the thing that the Broncos have for them in terms of defense is like that consistency in coaching and players in scheme, all of that stuff, I think is going to help them continue to maintain to be a dominant force on the defensive side. Now the Chiefs, they had some departures of their own. They've got some really good players on defense. On offense, obviously, you still have Patrick Mahomes, you still have Travis Kelce. But their wide receiver room is just going to continue to be somewhat of a question mark. Can they stay out of trouble? Can they stay healthy? Can they produce? Can they bring in guys who, like a Juju Smith-Schuster, I forget his name, but he won the Super Bowl for them a couple of years ago in overtime. Can they bring in these guys and can they produce? Because Patrick Mahomes is a guy like that. He is a quarterback who can make just some mid wide receivers like that good and productive. Now they brought in Walker the third from Seattle Seahawks. They just won the Super Bowl. He was a Super Bowl MVP. So you got that on the offense. Him, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce should be good enough to give the Broncos defense a run for their money in this game. But it is going to be it's going to be a good Monday Night Football game. Mecole Hardman, Benjamin, thank you. Yes, Mecole Hardman. Appreciate the heads up there. So that is week one. There's going to be a lot of exciting games week one. And now I kind of want to get into, I don't want to go week by week, but I want to talk about some of the international games and some of the holiday games that we're going to be watching. What's up, buddy? Come here. I got my dog here. Come here. Up. Oh, that's Uncle Boy. Oh, who's that? Who's that right here? Right there. Oh, that's Uncle Boy. That's Uncle Boy. Hey, what are you doing? Good boy. So, all right, let's talk some of the international games. And because there's going to be some really good international games. Yeah, let's just go with international games here. All right, so we talked about 49ers, Rams, week one. The next game, week 3, is going to be in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and that is going to be between the Ravens and Cowboys, week 3, September 27th. The one after that, Colts versus Commanders in week 4. That one's going to be in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. Sup, pup? Week 5, October 11th, will be between the Eagles and the Jaguars, also in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. Week 6, October 18th, the Texans versus the Jaguars in Wembley Stadium in London. October 25th, week 7, the Steelers versus the Saints in Stade de France in Paris. That one's going to be kind of new. That one, Rio de Janeiro, Australia, are all brand new markets / cities. So not only do we get 9 games, but we get 3 different locations this year for the NFL. And obviously this is part of the NFL's way of kind of expanding globally, right? To bring in more money because they know that they have the stars, they have the storylines, they've got the personalities, they've got the money to do all this, and they've got the popularity, which is the biggest part. I mean, NFL is the most popular sport in the US, definitely not the global sport. That would be soccer and maybe even like cricket to a certain extent. But I think it's soccer and then football really is the most popular sports. Maybe cricket is probably second globally wise, of course. But this is the NFL's way of kind of lunging itself forward to be that solid number 3 and maybe even overtake cricket, maybe even be so good in the future that it is up there with soccer. Like we're probably looking at 3 extra international games, whereas the NFL is looking 20 years into the future and being like, we want to be the number 1 most watched, most looked at sport in the world. We want to overtake soccer. Most played, whatever it is, right? So really cool. I just like this is eventually going to turn into like 1 international game every week, weeks 1 through week 18. There's going to be 18 international games in like 3, 4, 5 years, maybe, give or take a couple there. And I truly believe that because they're trying to extend their reach. We might even be seeing a Thursday night football, a Monday night football that's played in Australia, that's played in London, that's played in Brazil, that's played in Mexico City. That's probably what we're moving towards, where we may be able to have 1 game a week internationally, maybe even 1 game a week internationally on Sundays, plus some more. Plus a primetime Thursday night football, plus a primetime Sunday night, Monday night, what have you. I don't know how much of that I can take because I'll finish the list off here. We left off at Steelers in New Orleans in week 7. Bears have 0 international games. I can't tell you how happy I am about that. The Bears, I had seen this chart that said the amount of miles that each team is going to be traveling, air miles, of course, this whole 2026 season. The Bears were 30th with just over 10,000 miles total that they'll be traveling this year. That is not a lot. They were nowhere near number 1. The ones below them, the ones that traveled least miles were the Panthers and the Browns. So I love that the Bears don't have any international games. I'm totally cool with that. But don't be surprised if by 2030, we're seeing an international game almost every week, if not 2. Sprinkle in another one in a few weeks there. But let's continue here. Week 9, November 8th, will be the Bengals versus the Falcons in Bernabeu Stadium in Spain, which the NFL has already been in. Week 10, November 15th, will be the Patriots versus the Lions, which will be a good one. FC Bayern Munich Arena in Germany. And then the final international game will be week 11, November 22nd, between the Vikings and the 49ers in Estadio Banorte in Mexico City, Mexico. So those are the 9 international games. Obviously, the more popular one being in London, in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, with some additions, Australia, Brazil, and France. So those are all the international games. Where's the Thanksgiving? Okay, so Thursday night football opener technically will not be the Niners and Rams because that is an international game. It is not going to be a Thursday night football broadcast. So the opening Thursday night football game will be between the Bills and the Lions week 2, September 17th, to open up Thursday night football at the Bills' new stadium, Highmark Stadium. So that's going to be really cool because the Bills are obviously opening up a new stadium. It's going to be the first game that they play in their new stadium, which will be a Thursday night football game, and against the Lions of all teams, right? Like 2 teams who 2 years ago were like top of their conference, whatever, the Chiefs, yeah, you could say that, but the Bills are definitely up there, and they're going to continue to be up there. Now, the Lions can also make a run for one of the better teams in the NFC this year, but after last year, who knows, right? Like things move up and down in this league. Like the Bears may have a losing record, the Packers may win the division, the Packers may be fourth in the division. Who knows how any of this is going to happen? So this is a very interesting one. Obviously, again, you're looking at the Bills in their new stadium and such, and the Detroit Lions going to be checking that out. Going to be the first team at Highmark Stadium. Now, and real quick, Benjamin, Chargers did a Halo theme schedule release. Yeah, the Bears did a Bob Ross one with Rome Odunze because he's got a big afro, and so obviously Bob Ross had a big afro, and the Bears did a Bob Ross themed one. I haven't seen it yet, and I think it's going to be kind of cool, but they did a themed one. Which, by the way, what do you guys think about the team videos, like the videos that they release, like all these like different themes? Like last year, the Bears had like Ferris Bueller's Day Off theme at school. There's a lot of cool ones. You know, Chargers generally have like their social media team is like really good, like one of the better social media teams I think in the NFL. And a Halo themed one is really cool. I haven't seen any of them yet, but I'm going to be checking out for sure at least the Bears in the future. But what do you guys think about that? Because you know, the NFL schedule release itself has been a bit of an event, right? And you know, a lot of people are like, it's kind of lame, just release all. I get that. I totally get that. And for me, I think so too. Like, just release the damn schedule. Give us all, like, you don't have to make, because again, the NFL does this thing where they're like, we're going to release the schedule in 2 weeks. And then leaks come out. And all of a sudden, you know who's playing on Thanksgiving. All of a sudden, you know who's playing Christmas. Now you know who the week 1 matchup is. Like to start the season, the first game of week 1. Kind of takes a bit away from it, but the NFL gets a lot of clicks, gets a lot of interactions, gets a lot of like these predictions and a lot of like who's going to be playing week 1. Is it going to be the Seahawks and the Patriots? Is it going to be the Seahawks and the Bears? Is it going to be the Seahawks and the Rams or something like that? They get a lot of speculation, and that's just more talk regarding the NFL. That's more clicks, that's more revenue, that's more this, that's more that. It's all about word of mouth. It's all about who's coming out with a cool social media video, a cool TikTok about the NFL schedule. That's how they do this thing. Like, yeah, they're like, who cares if it leaks? Who cares if 30 of the 270 games of the 2026 season leak? Like we're going to keep a lot of these in the bag for today. And here I am doing a stream about it. So regardless, like there's going to be a lot of talk, and a lot of people are, you know, don't like it. They just wish they would just release them all whenever. And it was never a big event like this, right? Like it's a huge event now. Like schedule release day is a big event. And I'm doing a stream about it. Other social medias, channels, creators, media in general are doing videos about it and streams about it. So it's a big event. So that's why I think it's kind of cool because, you know, last week I was like, man, what if the Bears play the Seahawks to open the season? What if they play on Wednesday night for a Sunday night football broadcast? Like that would be sick to start off against the Super Bowl champions. Personally, I think it would be awesome to do that. But I could also see the other side of just like release the schedule, because I used to kind of be like that too, but it just gets everybody talking about the NFL. And I will say it hypes me up a little bit. Like it gets me like, man, I really want to watch football. Obviously there's going to be a huge lull between now and until the next big news comes out, but really until training camp starts or rookie mini camps, OTAs, things of that nature really start. Where is Aaron Rodgers going to play football, right? Like one of the bigger stories there. So it gets the people going is basically what I'm trying to say when we give out a release date, as well as talk about it and speculate about it in the days, weeks leading up to the actual release day of the schedule. But I just wanted to say that quick thing and just wanted to get what you guys think, what your opinion is on the whole thing. But let's talk Thanksgiving. Now, the NFL is doing something different this year. They are doing a Thanksgiving Eve game, which will be November 25th. In NFL's newest holiday offering, the Rams will host the Packers at SoFi Stadium on Thanksgiving Eve, November 25th at 8 p.m. Eastern. So this is where I have an issue with what the NFL is doing. I already dislike, I'm not going to say hate, I dislike the international games, how many there are. Thank God the Bears don't have one this year. That just adds its own problems. Logistics, sleep, getting your car, oh my God, what's Carthian Ridge, some shit rhythm. Basically your sleep schedule, right, for those international games. On top of that, Thursday night, Sunday night, Thursday, Sunday, Monday. Thursday and Monday obviously being only night games. They're starting to add Wednesday games to start this season. They added Christmas. Christmas lands on whatever day Christmas lands. Now they're adding a Thanksgiving Eve. This is where I just my dislike is really starting to kind of go up, because 3 days out of the week and really one day where you just have a stack lineup on Sunday from, West Coast time, 10 a.m. to about 8 p.m. You've got football on the entire day. Totally cool with that. Thursday, Monday nights, totally cool with that. It's when you start going into Wednesday, when you start having Black Friday games. And, the Bears had that last year and it was an exciting, cool game. Like, don't get me wrong, it was exciting. But it's when you start adding more football on more days of the week outside of the regular 3 that we've kind of been accustomed to. I am not a fan of that. So this whole Thanksgiving Eve thing, I feel like it takes a little bit away from the Thanksgiving games, where for me, it's just one of those things where I'm like, man, I love Thanksgiving games. I love just, even if the Bears aren't playing, I love just having it on the TV and watching what I can while, making Thanksgiving dinner, this and that, blah, blah, blah. It's cool for me. So Thanksgiving Eve game, this is just the NFL again, just trying to take over the entire week and just adding another game. And it's it takes a little bit away from Thanksgiving for me personally. But that's the Thanksgiving Eve game. And that is the Packers at the Rams. Now the Thanksgiving games, this is where it gets awesome, because this is going to be the Bears. And let me see if I can get a schedule for, I'm just trying to see if there's primetime games. Yeah, I'll go to primetime games. No, let's do bye week, I guess. So, okay, here we go. So, Thanksgiving Day starts with Bears going to Detroit, taking on the Lions. This, to me, is going to be a very fun game, because the Bears lost the Lions twice last year, week 2 as well as week 18. Week 18 being kind of like a 19-17 game, something like that. Didn't really matter because the Bears had already locked up the division. They had already locked up their playoff game for that year. So for me, this is going to be great, because I think I'm going to double check to see the Bears schedule here, but I think that might be the first time they play the Lions for the year. Yep, week 12 will be the first time the Bears and Lions play. So first time they play is going to be Thanksgiving. 2 seasons ago, they played the Detroit Lions Thanksgiving. That was the final game Matt Eberflus coached, because of the immense fuck up that he had in terms of time management. Had a timeout, didn't call it. Caleb Williams had to call a play, threw it down to Rome, incomplete, and the game. We still had a timeout in our pocket. Why we didn't take it, no idea. Anyway, that's what eventually got Matt Eberflus fired. And really kind of dawned this new regime for the Bears with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, is what it is. But then last year, you get beat twice by the Lions. Not great, right? So this year, you are basically going into the year against the Lions on primetime Thanksgiving. Now, the interesting part about all this is that it's week 12. The Bears have a bye week 10. I don't know when the Lions bye week is. I'm assuming there's going to be a bye week between start of the season till week 12 for the Lions as well. This could be a huge game. Because if we're talking, the Bears have already played 11 games before, playing the Lions, who, again, it's the whole Ben Johnson was the offensive coordinator, one of the best offensive coordinators when he was with the Lions for 3-4 years. This is just going to add fuel to the fire. And again, you've lost to the Lions like 4 times in a row now, over the last 2 seasons. So this is going to be a really good start to this rivalry, division rivalry. And I don't know why I quoted that. It's a rivalry. Because of the past, because of the history of these teams. I mean, the Lions beat the crap out of the Bears the first meeting they had last year. And then week 18, they beat them again. It was a much slimmer margin of score. But this is going to be a good game because what are their records? 11 games into the season, going into this, or 10 games into the season at this point in time in week 12 in Thanksgiving. What are their records? Do either of them have a stranglehold on the division? Do either of them have, hopes of making the playoffs as a, division winner, as a wild card? It is going to be interesting. Is Goff playing as good a football as, he's been playing since he's been a Lion? Are they one of the NFC favorites? Are the Bears... What's their team look? What's our team look like? Is Caleb Williams still on track to being one of the best quarterbacks in the league? Is this offense kind of humming now? Like by week 12, are the Bears in line to win the division? Are they going to be a playoff team? Like, this is a very good matchup, and I think a very good measuring stick game too for both of these teams. And of course, again, it all depends on where they're at. The Lions could be 2-8 by this point. The Bears could be 5-5. They could have a bad record. Both of these teams could have really good records, winning records, and this could be a very big divisional deciding game. Now, obviously, the Bears and Lions have got plenty of divisional games after week 12, but for it being a Thanksgiving game too, going to add a lot to the drama here. Now, with the Eagles, the next game on Thanksgiving is Eagles-Cowboys. Another divisional matchup. Another good one. A lot of these questions that I applied to the Bears and Lions could also apply to the Eagles and Cowboys. Because as I was saying earlier, like all the teams in the NFC East on paper look pretty damn good. Now they've all got their own issues. The Eagles, obviously with the drama, is AJ Brown traded already? I mean, more than likely he's going to be, but was he traded? Is he still on the team? Yes or no? Is he causing any drama on the Eagles? Is Jalen Hurts playing really well? Does Nick Sirianni, are Eagles fans calling for Nick Sirianni to be fired? How well is this team doing? On the opposite side with the Cowboys, right? How big of a hole was Micah Parsons being traded last year? How much of an impact is that still making this year on the defensive side of the ball? Is Dak still playing really good football? Is CeeDee Lamb or Javonte Williams, are these guys still playing good football? Is the offense on point and the defense is lacking? Are both sides of the ball pretty damn good? And are they in line also for the division? Like these first 2 matchups, Bears, Lions, Eagles, Cowboys, may answer a lot of questions in week 12 because it's late enough into the season where it's week 12 and you got 5 more weeks of football after that, to play. And these could be big games on Thanksgiving. So Eagles, Cowboys, NFC East matchup, going to be huge. Now, I think those are the only 2 games. Thursday, November 26th. Oh, no, technically there's a 3rd game, but I hate how the NFL does this. So week 12, Sunday night football. This is another Sunday night football. But it's technically on Thursday for Thanksgiving. Chiefs, Bills. Now, this is a marquee matchup, regardless of the Chiefs making the playoffs the year prior, regardless of the Bills losing in the wild card round or divisional round. I forget which round it was. Last year in the playoffs. This is a marquee matchup no matter what, because you still go back a few years ago and you go back to the shootout that these two teams had in the AFC Championship or AFC Divisional round, whichever one it was, where Mahomes, won the game in like 16 seconds against the Bills. So, these two teams have always had really good matchups. And to end it off with them on Thanksgiving, I think is good because, again, like there's a lot of questions to be answered with these two teams at this point, week 12 in time. The Bills under their new head coach and with DJ Moore as wide receiver 1, Josh Allen, James Cook, like, is this offense still cooking? Is this offense still really good? I think Lou or Brandon had talked about it earlier, or Benjamin, I should say, talked about it earlier. Like, is Josh Allen still playing hero ball? Like, are they really just all dependent on Josh Allen playing the hero ball? The Chiefs, are they in line to win the division too? Are they still as good as they were prior to last season, right? Like when they had a stranglehold on the AFC West, like, are they that good still? This is going to be a really good matchup. And look, I'm saying all this with under the kind of with just the information that we knew from last year, right? So all these games could suck ass and could mean absolutely nothing come week 12. But it's really fun to speculate because all of these teams can be very good this year. Bears, Lions, Eagles, Cowboys, those are two divisional matchups right there that can make, a huge difference in the divisional standings from week 12 on. Chiefs and Bills, again, I just talked about it. Marquee matchup, regardless of their regardless of how both of these teams have played last year, right? Losing, not making the playoffs, whatever. Still going to be a very good matchup. After that, Thursday Night Football, you got Broncos and Steelers. Again, a lot of questions there too, because are Bo Nix, Sean Payton, the Broncos with newly acquired Jalen Waddle and that dominant defense, like, are they still like top of the division at this point in week 12, right? Because you have the Chargers, you got the Chiefs, and the Raiders may be sneaky good with that offense. It's the defense that's really worrying for the Raiders. But a lot of questions to be asked, right, for the Broncos. Now the Steelers too. Who's their quarterback at this point, right? Because again, is Aaron Rodgers going to sign with them? Yes or no? Who knows? They have Drew Aller. They've got Mason Rudolph. Are any of these two guys going to be the quarterback at week 12? Question mark. Like, is that going to happen? Who knows, right? A lot of good questions there for those matchups. Not a lot going on in week 12 in terms of prime time. I kind of wanted to move to Christmas just to get out of the Christmas games out of the way. So Christmas Eve, because these are going to be some good matchups as well. Christmas Eve, December 24th, week 16, Texans Eagles. Obviously kind of talked a little bit about the Eagles already. And by week 16, we're already going to know a lot of these matchups, whether they're going to be meaningful or whether they're not going to be meaningful. Now, the Texans have a bit of an uphill battle because in the AFC South, the Jaguars won it last year. And the Jaguars, again, with Liam Coleman as a head coach, Trevor Lawrence, there we go, I'm remembering his last name finally. How good is he playing? Are they in line to win the division too? And if so, is this Christmas Eve game huge for the Texans or not? Is their defense still as dominant? Is their offense still as stagnant? Have they made improvements on the offense to kind of level both of those sides of the ball there? Is CJ Stroud playing like he did his freshman year, his rookie year? Or is he kind of playing like he has the last couple seasons, right? Like, these are questions that are going to be answered well before week 16, but are going to be a huge part if they have been answered one way or the other by week 16. They're going to play a huge role in this game. Now for Friday, December 25th, Christmas Day, starting off just like with Thanksgiving with the Bears at home against the Packers on Christmas Day. This game, I may go home for Christmas and go to this game. It's always cold in Chicago, but I would love to go to this game. I'll see if maybe I can make that happen or not. Either way, Packers Bears on Christmas Day. After the two matchups they had in the regular season and playoffs last year, the Packers Bears rivalry has always been one of those games where, you know, like recently over the last couple seasons has been awesome. It's been a great game. Not the Matt Eberflus era. Matt Nagy, there was exciting games. And then prior to him with John Fox, not great. Really, recently, and even prior to like 2012, the Bears-Packers rivalry has always been a good one. Now, it's the oldest rivalry in football. I don't know if it's the oldest rivalry in sports. I have to double check, at least American sports, if it's the oldest rivalry in American sports. I think it is. But in football, it for sure is. So anytime you put a game like this on primetime, and on top of that, Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze, Colson Loveland, Cole Kmet, Kyle Monangai, DeAndre Swift, Jordan Love, Matt LaFleur, Romeo Doubs, their first round rookie wide receiver, I forget his name. Micah Parsons now is on the defensive side there for the Packers. Like, there are a ton of names on both sides of the ball. Both of these teams were in the playoffs last year. The Bears got the better of the Packers last year in that wild card round. So this rivalry just is propelling upwards. It is propelling upwards. There's a lot of talk earlier this offseason after the Packers lost to the Bears, whether Matt LaFleur was even going to be the coach. I thought maybe there was a chance that he might have been gone. Like, they may have replaced him. And instead, no, I think he's still the coach, but I don't know what the terms are. I don't know if they give him an extension or not. I really do forget about that stuff. But this is a matchup, oldest rivalry in football, that is a big one as of late. And on Christmas week 16, kind of the same questions, and well, not necessarily like the Bears and the Lions in week 12, but by week 16, this could be a huge game for both of these teams. Are they both vying for the division? Is this game so big to the point where this can make a big impact again on who wins the division? But again, this could also be a game where it's like neither of these teams matter, but it's just a really good rivalry game. I'm going to go with the former and say that this is going to be a big game for both teams. Not only the rivalry aspect and how many times they win each, right, against each other throughout the year up to this point, the rivalry, the division, a lot of questions to be answered, and a lot of hype really on Christmas Day too. The other Christmas game will be Bills and Broncos. Now, this is a rematch of the divisional round between the Bills and Broncos last season. Broncos, of course, coming out with the win, moving on to the AFC Championship, and the Bills kind of tucking their tail. And again, it was like, well, shit. How are we ever going to win anything? Like, are the Bills ever going to win anything? Can we ever take advantage of a year where there wasn't no Mahomes and there wasn't no Lamar to go up against with Josh Allen? So two really good teams. And again, by week 16, we probably have a really good idea of where these two teams stand. But it's always awesome to kind of speculate because, again, the Bills did not win the division last year. They got in as a wild card. Are they and the Patriots kind of vying for that division? Are the Broncos, going to be two-time division winners at this point in week 16? Is this going to be a huge, important game for both of these teams? This is a playoff matchup from last season, but by week 16, you probably forget about that, and it doesn't have as much of an impact as it does in like the first 1, 2, 3 weeks of the season. Regardless, this could be a very good game, very important game for both of these teams, the Bills and the Broncos. Now, I think it'll be good because the Broncos defense, again, are they still as dominant? Again, they've brought back like 95% of their starters. They lost like one of the bigger contributors in the offseason to free agency, Franklin Myers, I believe his name was. And the Bills brought in DJ Moore as a wide receiver. I talked a little bit about that earlier. So where are these new additions? Where are these like sides of the ball? Where are they at during Christmas? And again, this could mean nothing, but it is fun to be like, this could be a very important game. Now, the next one I think will have really big impact on the division, and that's the Rams coming to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Where are the Seahawks at this point? They lost a ton of contributors from last year's Super Bowl team, Kobe Bryant being one of them, Kenneth Walker III being one of them. But they still have Sam Darnold. They brought in the running back from Notre Dame, the backup to not Jordan Love, but Love, whatever his name is. They still have JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba. The defense under their head coach, I'm forgetting his name at the moment, is still going to be pretty damn dominant, right? Like, yeah, they lost Kobe Bryant on the safety side, but they still have Omaye, whatever his name is, the rookie. Julian Love still there. They through the draft, they brought in a lot of players to fill those needs. Whether they'll play or not as rookies, again, it's going to be up in the air. But against the Rams and Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua, who is going through a whirlwind of stuff this past offseason, he's biting people. He's being anti-Semitic, I guess. There's all sorts of stuff going on with Puka Nacua. Like, where's he going to be at by week 16 in this Christmas game, right? Where's this team going to be at? Because the Rams have a very good defense too. They have a very, very good defense. Say that again. I that's what I'm saying, Casey. By the way, Casey in the chat, what's up? Puka Nacua's going on. He's having some crazy issues right now, from what I can remember reading up on him. Although I haven't read anything on him lately. So that must mean he is on the upwards trajectory and not necessarily the downwards trajectory anymore. Getting help, I'm sure. Hopefully, I'm hoping he's all good. But the Rams, again, Seahawks, divisional matchup. Where are they going to be at, right? Is this going to be a big game for the division too? This is why I love divisional matchups in prime time or for holiday games, because it could mean a lot, right? Or it could just mean a lot to one team. And it's still going to be an interesting game regardless. But Seahawks, Rams going to close out the Christmas Day games. And then let's see later that night, Jaguars, Cowboys for Sunday night football. Monday night football will be Giants and Lions. So this will be a pretty good one, I think. Giants, Lions, Monday night football after Christmas, December 28th. And there's actually like a triple header for Monday night. Oh, no, these are all just TBDs, I guess. Huh. A lot of TBDs after the Christmas games. Regardless, Giants, Lions. I mean, we talked about the Giants and the Lions. The Lions obviously coming off a year of really, really like a bad year. Really, the expectations were high for them. I mean, they lost their offensive coordinator and their defense coordinator, Ben Johnson, and I'm forgetting his name, who went to the Jets, who's the head coach of the Jets right now. But they still have a lot of the same players on both sides of the ball. Now, they did have one of their offensive linemen retire. I'm forgetting his name. Skipper? Was it Skipper? I can't remember on the Lions side. And obviously, again, the coordinators being lost is huge. And Dan Campbell is just going to try to do everything he can. He's going to will this team to perfection again, or to dominance. You know, prior to last season when they won 15 games and won the division and were the favorites for the NFC to go to the Super Bowl and instead lost in a divisional round. He's going to try to get them back to, you know, being one of the best teams in the NFC. Now it's going to be difficult because the NFC just seems to be loaded across the board. And, you know, I'd have to look at both conferences really to kind of see who's more loaded in terms of teams. But I think the NFC's up there, man. I think the NFC's up there. I mean, the entire NFC North last year had winning records. The winner was the Seattle Seahawks, who's in the same division with the Rams and the 49ers, right? The NFC West, or the NFC East, I should say. Eagles, Commanders, Giants, Cowboys. Like, all those teams have a legitimate shot at the division, in my opinion. And then the NFC South, I mean, that's kind of the loser division, really, right? Bucks, Falcons, Saints, and I always forget this other team. Bucks, Falcons, Saints, Panthers. So that the NFC South is, again, one of those divisions where you always kind of look at it and you're like, all right, somebody's going to win it. I don't know who, but somebody is. But you can also look at the NFC South and be like, all right, well, the Saints have Tyler Shuck. They still have Alvin Kamara. He's been surprising over the last couple seasons in terms of production. The Panthers obviously have a lot of upside. They're young. Bryce Young seems to be kind of on an upward trajectory in terms of being quarterback of the future. Canales looks good so far in his first or so season of head coaching. The Bucks still have Baker Mayfield. They've got a Buka there. They've got a lot of players on that offense that can make a difference. It's the defense that's the biggest question, I think, for the Bucks. And the Falcons, obviously, they have a lot of firepower on the offense side of the ball. The defense is also a question mark for them. They need a pass rush. Did they do enough through the draft? Did they do enough through free agency to kind of get there? So really the NFC, I think, is the most loaded division. 3 out of the 4 divisions, you can make a case for 75% of the teams, right? So the NFC, I think, is loaded for that matter. And again, brings us back to Giants and Lions. Like, is this game going to really mean a lot for either team? Are the Giants well within reach of a divisional title? Are the Lions going to be bottom dwellers again in the NFC North, or can they make an impact, right? Like it's just, it could be a lot. It can mean a lot, especially on Christmas, on week 16. Now, moving on to week 17, Thursday Night Football, Ravens, Bengals. Now, the Bengals are a team for me that have got a lot to prove, right? Joe Burrow has been injury prone, to say the least. Rookie year, I think after like week 4, week 5 or something like that, he got injured, missed the rest of the season. Second year, did well. Third year, went to Super Bowl. Second or third year, went to Super Bowl, whatever it was. And then it's just dealt with injury since then. So last year, Flacco is a quarterback. That the other guy is a quarterback because Joe Burrow was injured for a few games last year, and that made a huge difference. And the year prior to that, he was lighting up the stat sheet. Like, their offense was absolutely monstrous. Like, if they even had an average defense or just below average defense, they may have made the playoffs, and they may have made a huge a push, with an average defense and that offense that they have with Jamar Chase and the other guy, I'm forgetting his name, the other wide receiver. Can Chase Brown, their running back, their RB1, actually live up to the RB1 hype? Because last year, I really did think he was going to take that big step forward, Chase Brown. And instead, obviously when you don't have Joe Burrow and Joe Flacco has a big arm, but he turns the ball over a lot, but he's not Joe Burrow, and he's not Joe Burrow. So you are going to suffer as a running back when you don't have that protection from your quarterback, who when healthy is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I don't know if I'd put him there as an overall career as the best quarterback in the league right now, but when he's healthy, Joe Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Point blank period. And especially 2 seasons ago when he was throwing to Jamar Chase. Oh my God, that offense was ridiculous. So the Bengals are one of those teams, week 17, are they even playing for anything? Because 2 years ago, they were playing for a playoff spot in the wild card. They had beaten the Broncos, I think, but the Broncos then beat the Chiefs the following week, and they just, they got in instead of the Bengals, and they were playing for something towards the end of the year. But, is that the case now? And will the Ravens be as good as they were the latter half of last season? Right? Is Lamar Jackson also healthy too? Because he can get injured and it could take a big toll on the team. Is the defense just as good for the Ravens? They are now, who is their head coach? Ravens, Jesse Minter. He was, he's the one who replaced John Harbaugh. He was the defensive coordinator for the LA Chargers. So can Jesse Minter, this is some questions too, how is Jesse Minter doing by week 17 of the season? Is this going to be a nothing Thursday night football game, or is it going to mean something for either of these teams? Because it can really go either way. But then also in the AFC North, Ravens, Bengals, Steelers, Browns, it's got to be between the Ravens and the Steelers, right? Like, just kind of how the teams are put together. Obviously, Joe Burrow has a big impact on that for the Bengals, but Are the Browns any good? Or is their quarterback situation figured out? So this divisional round game or divisional game could mean a lot for either of these teams, but also it could be like, well, the Ravens aren't really playing for much. They got the division sealed up. Or the Bengals are garbage and, they're just trying some stuff. So it's got a lot. It could mean a lot, but also like, I don't know. This is the AFC North. That's not as scary anymore, in my opinion. But this year could be a huge flip. It could be a big flip, right? Is Joe Burrow healthy through all these weeks till week 17? If he is, Bengals might be winning the division. Is Mason Rudolph and the Steelers under Mike McCarthy now? Does Mike McCarthy have this team up to snuff? Are they going to be the division winners? The Ravens, is Lamar Jackson, Jesse Minter, Jesse Minter's first year as a head coach, are they going to be winning the division pretty easily? Because they, in my opinion, have the more complete team out of all four teams. And then the Browns, they've got their quarterback situation. They got rid of Stefanski, and they brought in, who did they bring in? They brought in Todd Monken. The Cleveland Browns head coach is Todd Monken, who was on the Ravens as the offensive coordinator. So could Todd Monken kind of turn the Browns around? Who knows? So some pretty good primetime games coming up this year. Sunday Night Football will be Eagles 49ers. That's a good matchup. Monday Night Football, Texans Packers. We kind of talked about both of those teams. I will say, if we go back to Sunday Night Football with the 49ers, they had a shit ton of injuries last year. George Kittle, CMC, Juwan Jennings, Debo, their other wide receiver. I can't think of his name right now. On the defensive side, Fred Warner was injured. 49ers struggled a lot last year, and they still made it to the playoffs. And that's a lot of credit to Shanahan, man. He's a really good coach, and and Salah as well. Salah is the defensive coordinator. Still made that defense, even with a bunch of the injuries that they had. Like, he made it a very a dominating defense. Like, he still did his work. And don't be surprised if Salah, I believe, where's Salah going? Robert Salah. He is, oh yeah, he's the new Titans coach. I completely forgot about that. So that makes the Titans game, or the Titans team, a little bit better, because because I was going to say, like, Salah, don't be surprised if he gets another head coaching opportunity, and he did after last season because of what he did with 49ers. And KC, I agree. Healthy 49ers team does sound dangerous. Like, regardless of with Salah or not as a defense coordinator, like, they're still going to be a dangerous team, I think. Like you said, if healthy, right? Because I just remember, and obviously I'm a Bears fan, so I remember this game, that shootout that the Bears had against the 49ers last season. The Bears ended up losing that game, almost had a last-second touchdown to win it, but could not do it. But yeah, the 49ers team, they were injured, and it was still a really good game. So healthy 49ers team, whew, insane. But now that I remembered that Robert Salah is the new Titans head coach, we can talk a little bit more about the Titans. And let me pull up the Titans too, because they're one of those teams that I know enough about roster-wise. With Robert Salah now, it makes it that much more interesting, I think, especially in the AFC South. Because he just does a really good job. Let's go to their official website. Just kind of check out the roster that the Titans got going on for them. Let's see. Team. I want depth chart. I like depth chart more than roster. I forgot that. Yeah, they don't make it necessarily available. So if we go by position, oh my God. So Alontae Taylor, cornerback. Who was their cornerback that they got? Didn't they get McDuffie? I'm not seeing him on here. Ernest Brown, the fourth at defensive end. John Franklin Myers, that's the guy that they got from the Broncos. Solomon Thomas, Jeffrey Simmons, a defensive tackle. Really good on the defensive side there. Cody Barton is now their linebacker. I think he was their linebacker last year, too. Oh, Mitch Trubisky's on the roster now, too. And obviously, Cam Ward's going to be QB1, but they got Mitch Trubisky, Will Levis, and Hendon Hooker as backups. Hooker, I think, was with the Lions prior. And Will Levis is obviously going through his thing. Just not up to snuff at quarterback. And we saw that week one of the year prior to last. So the 2024 season. Tony Pollard at running back. Ty J. Spears at running back. Those are going to be running backs 1 and 2, unless one of them really, really kind of makes a mark or really kind of goes above and beyond there. Tight end wise, not really good at tight end. No one that really sticks out. Gunnar Helm, yeah, they might be struggling. Eric Alec Iomanor, Hank Beatty, Chamir Dike. Yeah, that's their wide receiver who kind of broke out a little last year. KJ Osborne, sure. Calvin Ridley still there. Wan'Dale Robinson, who they got. Yeah, I mean, Robert Saleh's he's got an uphill battle, I think, with the Tennessee Titans. And really, I'm just kind of looking at him because I completely forgot that Robert Saleh is not their head coach, which at this point of the year, I forget that a lot of the transactions and moves that teams have made. So Robert Saleh being the head coach, like, it does change the Titans, I think, culture a lot more. Honestly, like, Robert Saleh with the Jets, like, dominant defense, just could never get that quarterback or that offense really to kind of go along with that defense. And, you know, he tried to have Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, the injury happened. And then the season after the injury, it just did not look good for the Jets whatsoever with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. So it just never really worked. And it hasn't worked. Maybe with Cam Ward, maybe with the draft, the people they brought in, which I believe it was quite a bit of a good amount on the offensive side, is going to be something that Robert Saleh can work with. And this may be something that can turn it around too. Like Robert Saleh already in year one, like other coaches have done, you know, Ben Johnson, Liam Cohen, Sean McVay. I don't know if Kyle Shanahan had a very good first year with the Niners, although I can't really remember. But a lot of these recent head coaches that have started with teams as first time head coaches, even McDaniel with Tua and the Dolphins, like, those first years as first time head coaches were really, really good. It's just kind of like, what do you do? Can you sustain it? Can you Kyle Shanahan it? Can you Sean McVay it? Can you Kevin O'Connell, Matt LaFleur it, right? Like, can you sustain that success? And, you know, I'm not just talking to guys like Robert Saleh, but I'm talking to Mike Vrabel, Ben Johnson, Liam Cohen, who have had success in their first years with new teams or as first-time head coaches. It's now about sustainment. That's all you can kind of, you know, do. Sirianni, Dan Campbell, although he had a down year, but Dan Campbell, man, no matter what you say about Dan Campbell and the Lions, he literally brought them up from nothing. And in his second year, I thought he was going to be out. I was like, this guy, he's going to be fired. his second year. I was saying that. And look what he's done, with them since he started. So Robert Saleh with the Titans, man, like there's a lot of upside there. There's definitely a lot of upside there for sure. I'm trying to see if there's anything else because week 18, it's just usually Sunday games. There's nothing really going on there. Trying to see, like, it's kind of tough to go into like week 9, week 10, week 11, 12, and really have these like, oh my God, this is going to be a good matchup, because we said that a lot about last season during the schedule release. And it just, some of those never really kind of like lived up to the hype or anything. So week 1 is going to be big. Week 2, week 3, and then you're looking at a lot of primetime games, a lot of the international games, a lot of the holiday games, and you're like, man, this is going to be sick, right? And hopefully they are, because it does suck when you have like a holiday game or an international game or even a primetime game that just sucks. No Black Friday game this year. It looks like. Oh, wait, no. Yeah, Black Friday is the Broncos Steelers. Yeah, we did talk a little bit about that. The Thursday night football. Yeah, okay, so we did talk about that. So that's going to be the Black Friday game. Trying to see if there's, do we do a New Year's game? New Year's Eve, Thursday night football, December 31st. First, second, third. Yeah, will be, so New Year's Eve will be Ravens Bengals. We kind of talked about that already. That was week 17. So primetime games, again, very, very, very exciting to have this schedule out. And again, the week 1 games are really kind of what everyone's looking at. Again, Patriots, Seahawks to open the season, 49ers, Rams to open up the international game slates, and then so on from there. And then Sunday night football, Cowboys, Giants, Monday night football, Broncos, Chiefs. So there's going to be a lot of exciting games week 1. But yeah, that is the schedule release, guys. It has happened today. Obviously, go check out a lot of the teams' kind of like individual schedule releases. I'm going to check out the Bears and a couple other ones if I can. But those are always really exciting to have to see, and really fun to see too. Because, for example, the Bears got the Bob Ross thing going on with Rome Odunze. Again, the afro, the painting, I think is going to be sick. But sometimes I do wish they would just put out the schedule. Sometimes I just put out all the games, man. I also wish they broke it down a little bit better, especially on the NFL site, which was a little bit difficult to kind of navigate through. Oh man, and they've got, so actually last thing, winners and losers for the schedule. So winners and losers, let's go toughest, because the toughest schedules, the easiest schedules are always using last year's stats. And obviously, I mean, there's not much else you can go, like to go roster by roster, addition. You never know who's going to make the depth chart. So the NFL, I think, really only does have that to go off of. One thing that I do like, though, is when they show how much travel is going to be had between all the teams. I think that definitely should be taken into account in terms of toughest schedule. But the NFL or other media outlets kind of just go by last year's standings. And if you have first place schedule, you're going to go up against all the first place teams in whatever divisions you're going up against. And that's just kind of natural. Now, the toughest ones, and they're ranking the top 5 here. At number 5 is the Dallas Cowboys. Strength of schedule with a 493 winning percentage, 6 primetime games. And again, let's go over their schedule. So they are at the Giants, and I'm starting out for week 1, Sunday night football. Home against the Commanders. Home against the Ravens. That is going to be the Brazil game. In Houston against the Texans. They have 3 straight primetime games. And this is actually lovely because these are the 3 primetime games. Week 5 at home against the Bucks, Thursday night football. Week 6 in Lambeau against the Packers, Sunday night football. So not only do they have that time, but they have a primetime game. So they have that a little bit of extra rest throughout the day on Sunday. Then at the Eagles, week 7, Monday night football. So they have an extra day after their Sunday night football time to prepare for a Monday night football game. And then they go on to play the Cardinals, at Indianapolis Colts, at home against the 49ers, at home against the Titans, at home against the Eagles for Thanksgiving, obviously, at Seattle against the Seahawks. That's Monday Night Football. A week 14 bye. They're at Los Angeles against the Rams, at home against the Jaguars on Sunday Night Football, at home against the Giants, and then they are at the Commanders week 18. So they are the number 5 strength of schedule. Number 4 is the LA Chargers with a strength of schedule winning percentage of 522. They have 3 primetime games. I feel like the Chargers aren't going to get a lot of primetime games unless they like really make a dent in the playoffs. So only 3 primetime games. Cardinals, Raiders, at the Bills, at the Seahawks, Broncos, at the Chiefs, week 7 bye, good or bad, depends on how you look at it, injuries and such. At the Rams, week 8, playing against the Texans, at the Ravens for Monday Night Football, playing against the Jets, Patriots, Sunday Night Football at home, at the Bucks, at the Raiders, 49ers, Thursday Night Football at home, at the Dolphins, Chiefs, and at the Broncos week 18. So at the Broncos week 18 could be a big one. Next up would be number 3 toughest schedule, Seattle Seahawks. Super Bowl winners, number 1 in the division, or were they number 1 in the division? Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were. And Super Bowl winners, they're going to have a tough schedule regardless. So week 1, they're already playing against the Patriots on Wednesday night to open the season at home, at the Cardinals, at Commanders, and real quick, they have 6 primetime games. So a lot of primetime games for the defending world champs. Playing against the Chargers, playing against the 49ers, at the Broncos, Thursday Night Football. That's going to be a good game. They have 3 in a row primetime games as well, and they have the same layout as the Cowboys did. Thursday Night Football at the Broncos, Sunday Night Football at home against the Chiefs, Monday Night Football at home against the Bears, which I will be going to 100%. Cardinals at the Raiders, week 11 bye, at the 49ers, at home against the Cowboys on Monday Night Football, Giants at the Eagles, Saturday game, Rams for the Christmas game, at the Panthers, and then at the Rams to finish off the season. Number 2 strength of schedule is the Rams. Strength of schedule combined 516 winning percentage. They have 7 primetime games. So a lot of primetime games for the Rams here. 49ers week 1 in Australia. Giants Monday Night Football. At the Broncos Sunday Night Football. They are starting off the first 3 weeks of the season with basically 3 primetime games. Australia, the international game, you can make a case it's not, but they're not going to be at home for this game. They will be in another country doing this. So really to start off the season is rough. Divisional opponent, the Harbaugh Giants, and the stifling defense of the Broncos on Sunday Night Football. Those 3 weeks already tough. Week 4 at the Eagles. Week 5 at home against the Bills on Monday Night Football. First 5 weeks of the season are going to be tough for the Rams. Wow. Then they get a little bit of relief. Week 6 Cardinals, and then week 7 at the Raiders. Depending on how those 2 teams are doing, which I expect to not really be tough games, could be seen as a bit of a break. Then they're at home against the Chargers. They are at the Commanders. They are at the Cardinals. Week 11 bye. Then they have a Wednesday game at home against the Packers. KC sounds easy. Yeah, right. Wednesday game against the Packers. Chiefs home game at home against the Chiefs on Thursday Night Football. At the 49ers. At home against the Cowboys. At the Seahawks on Christmas, which we talked about. At the Bucks, and then they finish off the year against the Seahawks at home. Granted, it's at home, so it's a little something, but damn, those first 5 weeks are ridiculous. 49ers, Giants, Broncos, Eagles, Bills, tough. Wow, that's insane. And then number 1, Arizona Cardinals. Strength of schedule. Yeah, Casey, brutal indeed. Arizona Cardinals, strength of schedule, 538. No primetime games, which it's the Cardinals. I kind of assumed that. So Cardinals not starting off easy either here. Starting off is tough for them. I'm gonna say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Maybe 8. You guys tell me. Week 1 at the Chargers, divisional opponent. Off the bat. Starting in LA. Then they're at home against the Seahawks. They are at the 49ers week 3, at the Giants week 4, at home against the Lions week 5, at the Rams week 6, at home against the Broncos week 7. Well, who do you envy more, the Rams or the Cardinals? Because the Cardinals 7 weeks of just straight butt, just straight dominance. They might have one win. Now, week 8, this is why I was kind of like, I think only the first 7 weeks they're at the Cowboys. I don't know. We had a guy named Lou in here earlier in the chat that was, rah about the Cowboys. So we'll see. We'll see what the Cowboys are like. But those first 7 weeks for the Cardinals are going to be rough. Maybe a win, maybe one win in those first 7 weeks. And it might even be week 1 at the Chargers. I can't see them beating the Seahawks. I really can't see them beating the 49ers. Giants by week 4, who knows? Maybe. Depends on how good the Giants are. Lions week 5, maybe. Rams and Broncos, there's no way I see them winning that. So week 8 at the Cowboys, week 9 at the Seahawks, week 10 at home against the Rams. Now, the Cardinals suffer from being in a division where there's just too many good teams. 49ers, Seahawks, and Rams. They're just too good. All right. So great question. Again, division opponents, 6 games against the Seahawks, Rams, and 49ers. I'm not even jealous. The Chargers, they finished 3rd in their division last year, if I remember correctly. And I'm actually going to double check that right now because so let's see here. Chargers. No, they finished 2nd. Huh. Well, I think they are playing the AFC West regardless. So let me go back to here. Yeah, they're playing the AFC West regardless. The Cowboys is what I should be looking at. The Cowboys finished 2nd. No, so I guess they're playing the NFC East as well. Cowboys, Commanders, Eagles. Yes, they are. Chiefs, that's the AFC West. NFC East, Jets would be, or AFC East Jets, I should say. Finished 4th in the division, just like the Cardinals. So that's why they're playing them. Eagles, Commanders, Chiefs, Rams, Seahawks, Cowboys. Talked about that. Saints also finished 4th in their division. I don't even have to look at that. I just know that's correct. And then Raiders, part of the AFC West. So they play the AFC East 4th place and the NFC South 4th place. But the NFC East is a tough division. They're in a tough division in the AFC or NFC West. And then they play the AFC West, who has the Broncos, the Chiefs, the Chargers, and then the Raiders. That's insane. And if I didn't finish, week 11 at the Chiefs, week 12 home against the Commanders, week 13 home against the Eagles, week 14 bye, week 15 at home against the Jets, week 16 at the Saints, week 17 home against the Raiders, week 18 home against the 49ers. So they are just cursed by their own division, as well as which division they're slated to play this year, which is the AFC West and the AFC East. Loaded divisions, really. You can make a case about the Commanders not being as good, the Cowboys maybe not necessarily being as good either. And then the Raiders obviously not being good, but the Chargers, the Chiefs, the Broncos, the Eagles, oh my God, who else? The Giants. Like, the Cardinals have a tough schedule. And yeah, Casey, you're right. They were not good. They finished 4th. But they play the Jets and the Saints, who also finished 4th in their division last year. So they get some sort of relief. That's not till week 15 and 16, which sucks, but it's something. Yeah, I don't envy that at all. I do not envy the Cardinals' schedule at all. And then, what was that other one I was looking at? Because the Bears have a pretty tough one as well. And I think they have them as one of the losers. Of the schedule release. The 49ers are one of them. Ben Johnson and the Bears. Bears became a national team. This is off CBS. NFL.com. Sorry. Bears became a national team again last season, with Johnson helping energize their offense in his first year as head coach, and the team displaying a knack for pulling out late game miracles. The NFL and its broadcasting partners clearly took notice. Bears have 5 primetime games, including 3 in a row, weeks 7 through 9 against the Patriots, Seahawks, and Bucks. The other 2 are tough matchups against the Eagles in Chicago week 3 and the Bills in week 15. Amazingly, none of their primetime games are against the Packers, although Christmas, you can make, again, an argument for that. Following 3 thrillers between those teams last season. So why is Johnson a loser here? Because coaches love routine and typically hate a slew of different starting times, but the Bears will be fed a diet of them. They're playing 2 Thursday games, one each on Friday and Saturday, and 2 more on Monday. As a result, the Bears have 6 short weeks with fewer than a full 7 days preparation this season. They have 5 games with more than 7 days of prep, but the uneven schedule is something that requires careful planning and flexibility. The Bears face a tougher schedule than any other team in the highly contested NFC North. Their travel isn't really that bad. They avoid a late season winter game in Green Bay and go to Miami in December. Awesome. Which is much nicer in September. Still, they'll need to be sharp. Because those 6 weeks in a row are going to be rough. So yeah, the Bears being a loser there, totally get that. The Dolphins, 3 of the first 4 are on the road, including West Coast trips to Vegas and San Francisco. East Coast to West Coast, West Coast to East Coast. East Coast to West Coast is a little bit more doable. It's on the way back where it kind of sucks because it's that 3-hour difference. Yeah, you gain 3 hours going east to west, but then you lose 3 going west to east, obviously. The other losers, Mike LaFleur, first-year Cardinals head coach. That's going to be a tough. And we kind of went through the Cardinals schedule already. For Mike LaFleur, again, I forgot that I didn't forget, but I just forgot who it was. LaFleur being the new coach for the Cardinals, tough, dude. Tough. That's his first year, and he's got one of the hardest schedules ever for first-year head coach, in my opinion. The other ones with the 49ers, obviously the Seahawks and Rams. Being in their division sucks. What Kyle Shanahan has been vocal about the week 1 game in Australia against the Rams, and then they have the second game in Mexico City against the Vikings. And then that was week 11. And then after that, it looks pretty rough. Week 12 against the Seahawks, week 13 against the Giants, week 14 against the Rams, week 15 Thursday against the Chargers, and then Chiefs week 16. And then at home against the Eagles in week 17. And then they ended off against the Cardinals. So yeah, a lot of losers here. Winners are the Saints. Again, this is all off NFL.com. Fairly manageable schedule, at least from what they're saying. The Philadelphia Eagles are apparently winners. The Packers are also winners. But it's tough. It is tough. Oh, Casey, perfect. You know about the Chiefs. The Chiefs' schedule is relatively easy, and surprisingly, there are no international games. But 10 of their first 14 games are away. Oof! Really? Yeah. Let's see. So the Chiefs' schedule isn't without its challenges, but it appears that Mahomes will have a fairly good chance of getting through the early part, assuming he's back for week 1, coming off that torn ACL. Week 1 is his goal. Champion Broncos coming to town fresh off a season sweep of the Chiefs last year. But what the league has given Mahomes is a longer runway, holding the Chiefs back until the final week 1 slot on Monday night. He'll literally have every last minute to rehab. Yep. While the Arrowhead fans have a chance to welcome back their hero in style. Colts coming to town in a short week for the Chiefs is a pretty tough follow-up, but it's back-to-back home games to open the season. Those are followed by road games at Miami and Las Vegas and the bye week in 5. Not only is it great to pull 2 easier road games against the first-year head coaches and with Jeff Hafley's Dolphins and Clint Kubiak's Raiders, but the bye week placement might be perfect for Mahomes. Yeah, and in early seasons, like especially if you're dealing with this situation of an injury of your quarterback, does kind of help. After that, though, after the week 5 bye, the Chiefs face the Chargers, Seahawks, and Broncos in week 6 through 8. That's another tough patch later with 3 straight road games, starting the Thanksgiving game at Buffalo. The contest through the week 17 bout is the Chargers should be a meat grinder. But if we're thinking about it simply through the prism of Mahomes' rehab, the schedule lays out in such a way that he and the Chiefs, assuming 2025 was an aberration, have a chance to gear up before the tension begins to mount. So yeah, I guess kind of when you lay it out that way, and don't get me wrong, KC, 10 of their first 14 games being away, rough. But it does kind of help that they're, that Mahomes has up until Monday night to really try for that to be his goal, right? For him to come back. The week 5 bye can be looked at as both good and bad, because if Mahomes is playing really well, there are no flare-ups to his injury, then that week 5 bye might be an even better rest, because that might be enough for him to kind of like, all right, 2 weeks off before I play a game, sick. Like I can rehab my leg, my ACL, and I can come back better than ever for the rest of the season. On the other side there, though, if you do start to kind of get those flare-ups and he's not feeling 100% by the bye, what's to say that, and he's playing badly, right? In those first 4 weeks, come in with like a 2-2 record, a 1-3 record, a losing record, something bad. Who's to say that the rest of the season is going to be any better? And of course, is he feeling 100%? No. What's their record like? Bad. This might not be a great season. He might have to rest one of those game weeks after week 5, after the week 5 bye. And you hate to see your superstar have to rest during the season, right? So you could look at it 2 ways. If Mahomes is doing really well by week 1 and weeks 1 through 4, he's playing like Mahomes has played damn near his whole career, then that week 5 bye is just going to be extra rest for him to help him get through the rest of the season. Maybe just wait until, do they have the division locked up? Cool. Then we're just going to rest Mahomes again, right? To give him even more rest before the playoffs, to continue to rest that leg and to have him at 100%. But again, is the record bad? Yes. Is Mahomes feeling 100%? No. Week 5 bye may not be enough, and it's too early in the season to really give him that boost for the rest of the 13 weeks of football. So tough. So you can look at it either way, but it really does depend how Mahomes is feeling and what the record of the Chiefs is by after week 4. So, well, those are the winners and losers. We kind of went through all the international games, all the holiday games, a lot of the primetime games. It's really tough to kind of talk about the primetime games, weeks 8 and forward, because what are these teams? What are they by week 8? What are they by week 10? What are they by week 12? It's tough to, because a lot of these games, some of the ones that I went over primetime wise are like division games. So is the division up for grabs, or is there good, I don't know, is there good competition there? Who knows, right? So there's a lot of up in the air when you get into the later weeks. That's just something that Kyler and I are going to have to cover as we kind of go throughout the season. But that was the 2026 NFL schedule release. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Please, please, please hit that like button. I would really appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button. Follow us on X at NFL with Kyle and at Only Football Pod. There we go. Those 2 up there on X. Obviously, hit that subscribe button here on Only Football and at Kyle Kitzman. Follow us, like the stream. We would really appreciate that. Kyle and I are going to be trying to do some more streams coming up. He's got a newborn. Kyle and I's schedules are also kind of fluctuating in terms of work. So it is, it's up there. We're trying, and for big things like the draft and like the schedule release, we definitely do try our best to get on here. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the stream. A lot more streams to come. We are officially, I would say, now in that kind of lull period between the NFL being super exciting and the season coming up. So we're kind of in that lull period after the schedule release, because now we're just going to pick it apart, and we might even talk more about the schedule later on. But I will be on vacation next week, so I can't promise a stream next week. Maybe Kyle and I could do something the following week. So don't expect at least me to be on next week if Kyle hops on sick, but I will be catching some rays in Mexico with the wife, just relaxing and stuff. But thank you guys so much, everyone, for being here. KC, of course, thank you for being here. We had Edub in here, we had Benjamin in here, we had Lou in here, the Cowboys fan, we had Daniel Barry as well as Linda and Stephanie. So thank you guys again for being here, everybody. Appreciate it. So sad. Oh, Casey, yeah, no, I'll be so sad about being on vacation. Thank you guys again for being here. Appreciate all the love. And Kyle, even though you're not here, always a good time, brother. All right, everybody. Thanks for everything.